In 2020, Sarah Young published an article in The Independent, which is a British newspaper, named Fashion Revolution Week, What was the Rana Plaza disaster and why did it happen?, in which she describes the crash of a garment factory in Bangladesh in 2013, and the result of which 1,134 people have died and 2,500 people have been injured. She also states that the owner of the building has actually known about the poor conditions of the building. And when the building was constructed, it did not meet any norms and standards. So the lives of 1,000 people, more than 1,000 people, was the price they had to pay in order to make the garment cheaper. They had to sacrifice their wage, they had to sacrifice their working conditions, and eventually their lives. And this is the ugly truth behind the beautiful industry of fashion. So the topic of fashion industry is relevant to all of us because we all want to look good. In Russian, there's even a proverb that states "встречают по одежке," which basically means that you make the first impression by the way you look. But we also want to be conscious and ethical in our decisions, right? And today I'm going to tell you how to do both. So today I'm going to persuade you to start shopping at thrift stores instead of regular ones in order to lessen the harmful effects of fashion industry and in order to gain some benefits. So, why is fashion industry a problem? Well, it is a problem because it harms both the planet and people. So, firstly, it overuses and pollutes the water. In their article published in 2019 named UN Launches Drive to Highlight Environmental Costs of Staying Fashionable, UN News cites UNCTAD, which is UN's secretariat which deals with trade, in which they state that actually in order to make one denim trousers, fashion industry uses 7,500 liters of water, which is an equivalent of the amount of water that one person could use in the course of 7 years. Moreover, they also state that fashion industry annually uses the same amount of water that could be used in order to satisfy the needs of 5 million people, as it is shown in this table. To add to that, and this is a quote, around 500,000 tons of microfiber, which is the equivalent of 3 million barrels of oil, is now being dumped into the ocean every year. Secondly, fashion industry is a problem because it causes a lot of carbon emissions, and carbon emissions, as you may know, lead to the climate change. So, according to the same source, if you compare the carbon emissions of fashion industry on the one hand and the carbon emissions of all the international flights and shipping together, fashion industry actually causes more carbon emissions. Lastly, fashion industry harms the people. In 2020, Rotier published an article called "What is Fast Fashion?" in Good On You website, which publishes a lot of articles that deal with sustainable and ethical fashion, in which she states that fashion industry very often uses the labor of the most vulnerable groups, such as immigrants, and they pay them low wages and do not provide with appropriate working conditions, as it was seen in the example of the garment factory in Bangladesh. So, now that we know about the problems that fashion industry causes, how can we solve them? Well, I encourage you to start shopping at thrift stores instead of regular ones. So thrift stores are stores that sell used items, usually clothing. And by buying used clothing, we reduce the amount of waste that would otherwise go to the landfills. So, how is thrift shopping beneficial to you in particular? Well, thrift shopping has a lot of benefits. And the first one is that you can buy cheap but look expensive. Kazakhstani newspaper The Village published an article in 2020 called 14 New Thrift Shops in Almaty, in which they mention Asai Jurek, which is a thrift shop that sells premium class clothes. So clothes from Valentino, Chanel, and so on and so forth. Of course, they're a lot cheaper than if you bought them firsthand. Next, by thrifting or shopping at thrift stores, you can actually be 1 in a million. The same article mentions Paradigma, which is the thrift store that sells clothing that can be personalized to their customers, so they can color their clothes, and they can also add embroidery if you ask them. And here is the example of some clothes from Paradigma. And the last benefit is that thrift shops can actually improve your imagination and your creativity. So the thing that I like about used clothes is that they have history, they have past, right? And what you can do is you can just you can write in your notebook the biography of your clothes. You can guess who wore them before you, what was their personality, how did they look like. And this is just fun activity to do in your free time. So if you didn't have any idea what to do in your holidays, now you know what to do. So now that you know all the benefits, I really encourage you to start shopping at thrift stores, because it is a more conscious and more ethical decision. So to sum up, fashion industry causes a lot of problems, both to the planet and to the people. We can lessen these harmful effects by starting to shop at thrift stores. And shopping at thrift stores has a lot of benefits. So in the beginning of my speech, I said I introduced a Russian proverb in order to emphasize the importance of the way we look, right? But actually, there's a continuation of that proverb that states that «провожают по уму». So basically, that means that even though the first impression is formed by the way you look, but eventually what really matters is your personality. So do not let fashion industry fool you and make you think that the way you look defines you. So before you leave, I want you to take a picture of this list that I have prepared for you with the thrift stores. And next time that you want to buy new clothes, I just encourage you to give them a try. Thank you.